Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another Sun Devil Source 2-minute drill. I'm Gabby Chernoff. Alongside me is Chris Cartman. We're here at Mountain America Stadium following Kenny Dillingham's first weekly presser of the season. Those will be every Monday, and we'll, of course, bring you all of that. But today's presser was headlined by the fact that Prince Dorba is going to miss at least 2 games, the first 2 games of the season, and we got a few other injury updates today from Coach Dillingham as well.
Yeah, Dorba's the headliner. Suffered a leg injury at Camp Town zone of scrimmage. He's going to miss at least 2 games, maybe up to 4 games. We'll see what happens. They're deep there. Elijah O'Neal's come on and had a really strong camp. Clayton Smith's probably the best pass rusher. They should be fine. Other injuries, Tate Romney broke his arm in front of us about a week ago. It was a little bit gruesome. He's going to be out for probably around half the season, roughly. That's probably the biggest injury. Sean Na'a has a minor leg issue that's going to keep him out for the first game, 2 games, maybe a little bit longer. We'll see about that. And Raleek Brown, talented running back in a really deep room, is about 90%, but unlikely to play against Wyoming. Nobody out for a majority or the entire season. Any injuries that we saw at camp. The only other issue, Jalen Clem remains out due to a health-related issue with an undetermined timetable.
So a few very impactful players who won't be starting the start of this fall season, but a player who will be probably maybe one of the most impactful from last season is Cam Scadaboo. He was a finalist for the Horning Award for the most versatile player of football players all across the nation. And while we may not see him contributing in as many roles as he did last year, he's still going to be contributing in a very big way, and this year especially on special teams.
You shouldn't need your star running back to also be your punter and to take direct snaps and to pass the ball, etc. And they're not going to need him to do nearly as many of those things, but his versatility as an improved athlete should still show up, and he's running 20 miles an hour, which they want to use him on kickoff coverage. I don't know if that's the best idea, because you got a little bit more injury possibilities that could emerge from that, but they are super deep at running back with DeCarlos Brooks and several other guys that we've talked a lot about throughout camp. I think one of the more improved guys on the roster, Kyson Brown. They also have Alton McCaskill. Jason Brown is a depth option, so they should be fine there, and I think it's really a tone-setting example by Scadaboo that it just feels important to him.
Yeah, and then finally, fall camp did just conclude under a week ago, and Kenny Dillingham tried to put his team in as many game day situations as possible, so they knew what that felt like, they knew how to respond to things, but there's a few unknowns that he did talk about today, and a few unknowns that Sun Devil fans and any observers will have to wait until the start of the season on Saturday against Wyoming to kind of decipher. So what are some of those unknowns that we're waiting to see about?
He talked about trust, the trust factor. Games are very different than practices where you're going up against yourself. Are you going to be able to do your 1/11th, which is something that a lot of coaches talk about, is just doing your job rather than trying to do somebody else's job, which leads to you having a breakdown in your assignment. And the other part that's unknown is the current era of the transfer portal, roster remakes, how much talent has consolidated at the top or upper echelon of college football, and where does ASU measure up against some of the opponents that I will play in the Big 12. This is a better ASU team than a lot of teams that have had losing records over the last 20 or so years that I've covered. But is it so much better relative to the rest of the Big 12? That's kind of what we're going to find out.
So a lot of good information that we got from head coach Kenny Dillingham at the first presser to kick off week 1, game week. We'll have you covered through the practices all week and, of course, that season opener against Wyoming. So until next time, I'm Gabby Chernoff, Chris Cartman for Sun Devil Source.